This is the Kids Hour on the Harbour Light.
The Adventures of Sailor Sam. Where away? Hear the creak of the rigging? Listen to the wind whip the sails. Yes, boys and girls, Sailor Sam's big schooner, the Porpoise, plunges swiftly through the waves, eager to serve her master. Where's she going? I wish I could tell you, but we'll have to find out from Sailor Sam, an adventurous young man whose hunt for scientific truth takes him anywhere. Yes, anywhere. And with him go his two young cousins, Buddy and Nancy. Aye, mate. It's full speed ahead now for seafaring thrills with Sailor Sam!
Yeah, I seen Harpoon Johnny do.
I don't believe it. How could he pin a man to the wall by his shirt when the man was running?
Hey, Henry, come over here, will ya?
Sure. Come on with me, Herman.
Okay. This is the guy he pinned to the wall.
Is that right? What do you want?
Tell this guy how Harpoon Johnny stuck you to the wall. He don't believe me.
That's right, friend. Ask Herman.
Henry ain't lying. I seen it with my own eyes.
That was just once-in-a-lifetime throw. He ain't no good with that harpoon. He's all bluff.
Ahoy, mate! What's the matter, me lad? Ain't you gonna welcome back an old sailing mate? Well, you all talk like flounders with a sore throat. Does anybody here know where the schooner Porpoise is tied up?
I do, Harpoon.
So it's you again. Do you know Sam Stone and Ole Olson?
Yeah, I do. Do you want me to fetch him?
Yeah. Tell them I want to see him here.
Okay, Harpoon. I'll get him right away. Why did you quit faking with that harpoon?
Who says I'm a fake? Come on, step out. I'll show you how I use this harpoon.
I say you're a fake. I'll take that harpoon away from you and twist it around your neck.
Look at that jellyfish talk.
You can't call me a jellyfish. I'll tear you limb from limb.
I harpoon whales. I should be afraid of you. Come ahead, me hearty, if you think you can do it.
Hold this line while I splice it, will you, Ole?
Oh, yeah, sure, Sam. I'll be glad to.
Sam, hold it!
Say, here comes Henry running like a crazy man.
Something's up. We'll find out in a minute. Well, what's the matter, Henry? Why all the excitement?
It's Harpoon Johnny. Harpoon Johnny? He was supposed to come directly to the Porpoise when he got into New Orleans.
Well, he didn't. You better get him before he gets into real trouble.
What do you mean by real trouble?
He's up at the Seaman's Inn picking a fight.
That's nothing new. Johnny loves to do three things. Eat, play yokes, and fight.
Yeah, you'd better get up there. He wants to see you two fellas.
He wants to see us? Maybe he'll wish he hadn't. Come on, Ole, we've got a whaler to bring in.
You wouldn't be so tough if you didn't have that harpoon in your hand. What's the matter? You afraid?
Afraid of what? I'll get rid of me harpoon and take you with me bare hands.
Now I'm gonna give you the beating you got coming.
Come ahead, I'll take you apart like stripping blubber from a whale.
That's what you think, Harpoon.
Captain Stone. I mean Sam.
Don't sand me, you overgrown sea dog. Get out of here and put aboard the Porpoise.
Captain or no captain, you're not gonna spoil my fight.
Up behind you, Sam.
I see him. Up you go, my friend.
That was a perfect throw, Skipper.
Thanks, Ole. Grab Johnny's harpoon and let's get out of here before a riot starts. Cast off the line! Check out the topsails.
Aye, aye. Take out the topsails.
Lay your back into that main sheet flock line, Harpoon.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Ollie, reef the foresail.
Aye, aye.
The ball's clear of the dock.
Good boy, buddy. We're off. Okay, buddy. Come on aft and take the wheel.
At last we're putting out to sea again, Hazel.
Yes. Hand me a towel, honey. Now, thank you. Sailing again, too. Only we're leaving under rather undesirable circumstances.
You mean Harpoon Johnny? Oh, Sam will handle him. Don't worry about that. Johnny thinks Sam's the best skipper in the whole world.
Well, I'm not worried about that, Nancy. I mean, Sam shouldn't have gotten into that fight at the Seaman's Inn.
Sam didn't pick the fight, Hazel. It was in self-defense. He was attacked. I don't blame him for pitching the fella on his ear.
Well, I suppose you're right. We'll have to start dinner soon, so will you peel the potatoes, honey?
Sure, I'll be glad to, Hazel.
You know, it's getting to be a real job to feed the crew of the Porpoise, especially since Buddy's getting such a big appetite.
Are you still sore at me, Captain?
No, I'm not angry with you. I'm disgusted. I don't know which is worse, your practical jokes or your love for fighting.
I'm sorry I let myself get out of hand. It won't happen again.
It better not, or you can find a berth on another schooner. Harpoon, I gave you specific instructions that you were to come straight to the Porpoise once you arrived in New Orleans. If you think I enjoyed pulling out to sea just to avoid a fight, you're crazy.
Yeah, you tell him, Sam. The Porpoise has a good record and never has to enter any port with fear and trembling that the authorities won't let her dock because there are troublemakers in the crew.
Well, I don't know what to say, Captain. I just didn't think, that's all. I'm sorry. I really mean that.
I believe him, Sam. Harpoon doesn't backwater and apologize to many men and skippers.
I believe him too, Ollie. So, let's forget that it ever happened. Will you take your turn at the wheel, Harpoon?
I'd be glad to, Captain.
And, Harpoon,
Aye?
just call me Sam from now on.
Aye, aye, sir. I mean, Sam.
So you were eavesdropping and heard Sam dress down Harpoon, did you?
I wasn't eavesdropping, Hazel. I was at the wheel, and I didn't think Sam realized the cabin door was open a bit.
Is Sam still angry? I know he was fit to be tied when he came aboard with Harpoon.
Not anymore. He got over it.
Well, you know, Sam gets angry so seldom that he doesn't stay that way long.
Yes, and he never holds a grudge. Say, does anybody know where we're going?
Well, I don't know. What course are we taking now?
Sam's got the course set for south-southeast. We have to go that way to get out of the Gulf. I'd sure like to know what he's got cooking.
Me too. Sam will tell us when he's ready, and not before.
Maybe we'll know soon, because the three of them have their heads together in the main cabin.
Say, let's see if we can find out, huh?
Nah, we'll find out soon enough. I better check the automatic pilot. And not only that, I'm supposed to be standing in deck watch until we get out to sea. See you later, ladies.
Did you bring the papers, Harpoon?
Yeah, Captain. I have them right here in this oilskin pouch. Take a look at it.
Thanks. Here, Ollie, we can look at them together.
Okay, Sam. Look. I I wouldn't believe it, except it's on black and white, Sam.
This is unbelievable.
The papers are certified true, Sam. You know me from the old days, Skipper. I got plenty of faults, but I don't bother with fables.
I know that, Harpoon. That's why I was interested at once when your special delivery letter arrived.
There's the commissioning letter from the museum. They sure want us to try and get this specimen if we can.
I'll say they do.
It ain't gonna be no easy job, Sam.
I wouldn't take it if it was. What do you say, Ole? You willing to try it?
I don't know, Sam. It's awful dangerous. Those fellas are nothing to fool with.
I don't think it'll be any tougher than the projects we've handled before.
Oh, no, I suppose not. I'm willing if you are, Skipper.
Harpoon, how about you?
Well, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. I'm the guy that got the museum interested.
Okay. In the morning, we'll tell the gang. And then we'll make our plans to capture the largest killer whale ever seen.
Killer whale. Murderous denizen of the deep sea. Half whale, half shark. This creature is the mortal enemy of whales and sharks alike and is feared by all who live in the sea. Sam Stone, you're going to grab a tornado by the tail trying to catch this fellow. We'll see you on the quarterdeck next week, boys and girls, for more seafaring thrills with Sailor Sam!
Hello, this is Mr. Bill. How many people are going to be in heaven? Have you ever thought of how many thousands, yea, millions of people are going to be in heaven? Oh, yes, from the time of Adam and Eve, Noah. And then there was all the other people, David and Solomon, and, all in the Bible, Paul and Peter, James and John, and all the people that are mentioned that were saved. And then down through history, people in Europe, in England and in America and in the West Indies and over in New Zealand and over in Brazil, and people who've accepted Christ as their Savior, and they're now gone on to be with their Lord. You say, Mr. Bill, wow, that's going to be a lot of people. And don't worry, heaven's plenty big enough to have all those people there. But there's an interesting verse in the Bible. It says this: "Straight is the gate, and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life, and few there be that findeth." Now, how can God say that there's going to be few in heaven when it's obvious there's going to be many in heaven? What God means is that of all the people living right now in any one location, there's very few going to be there. I mean, you think of those listening to the Harbour Light of the Windwards. Of all the people who are in the listening audience, very few of them are going to heaven. I mean, you can go down the streets of Carriacou or Grenada or Trinidad and you can ask people, do you know for sure you're going to heaven? And most people really don't know for sure. And some of them will say they know it, and it's so obvious they're not. Because God has made it quite clear that many, many people think they're saved and are not. My friend, do you know for sure you're going to heaven? Are you going to be one of those in that number because you've been washed in the precious blood of Jesus Christ, because you've accepted Him as your Savior, and He's cleansed you with His precious blood? Heaven will be a wonderful place. Many people there. Make sure you're one of those, because you've invited Jesus Christ in to save your soul and cleanse you with His precious blood.
Stay tuned for the Listening Post.
that?
Hey, the thing talks.
Sure, I'm the listening post.
The listening post?
Yep, for years and years I've stood in this spot. I've seen much. I've heard much. And in my old wooden heart are stories.
That's right, boys and girls. Stories aplenty, crammed with fun and adventure. Crowd up close now and put your ears to the listening post.
Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to finish our story, The Worm Turns at Sugar Creek, by Paul Hutchins. Bob Till has recovered from his almost drowning, and the vandals have been caught, and Bob Till's mother has come home from the hospital. The Sugar Creek gang boys had given the $100 reward for the capture of the vandals to Bob Till for his mother's hospital expenses. Now Bill Collins and his dad are out in the garden talking. Pop said with a grin in his voice, "Well, it looks like the worm has turned at Sugar Creek." "Worm?" I asked, and took a quick look down at where I'd been plowing to see if any big fat fishing worm down there might be twisting and turning like a fishing worm does when it gets plowed up. But there wasn't a single worm in sight. "I mean that Bob Till used to be your enemy, and now all of a sudden he's your friend. It's an expression. People say that when a situation is reversed. How can you boys get along without having somebody to stir up trouble for you now and then?" Oh, we'll manage. We still have Shorty Long." I was remembering the new fat boy who a few years ago had moved into the neighborhood and upset the peace and quiet of the whole territory with the kind of trouble most everybody knows about in the story called The Blue Cow at Sugar Creek. He's on his vacation now, and he'll be back next week sometime. But Pop was right. The worm had turned at Sugar Creek. Never again, maybe, would we have any trouble with Big Bob Till. "One thing I'd like to know," I called from the other end of an onion row, "is what you and Mom are going to do about whether to spank or not to spank." There was a twinkle in his eyes as he growled out his answer from under his reddish-brown mustache. "Oh, that. We're going to do it your mother's way when I'm away from home, and my way when I'm here." "Don't I get to have anything to say about which way?" There was such a good feeling between us at the time that it seemed all right to ask the question. Pop's answer was a little puzzling. "Your way, of course, is just to take it, whichever way it happens to be given. You understand, don't you, why your mother can't punish you corporally?" Corporally? I'd never heard before the word used in our family. Pop waved his spray gun, pressed the trigger, and a foggy stream of green paint came out its nozzle. Then he explained. "Your mother has a very tender heart, son. She just can't stand to hurt you bodily. That's what corporally means, bodily." "Is a boy's stomach a part of his body?" I was thinking I had just thought of a good joke and could hardly wait for Pop's yes answer. When he said a stomach was, I asked, "When a boy gets hunger pangs from missing out on a piece of custard pie, couldn't you call that corporeal punishment?" Pop grinned like the joke was only partly humorous, but he winked at me as he was saying, "We could call it that, but, well, suppose we don't." "Also, what could be harder on a boy's legs and arms, which are part of his body, than to wear out their muscles pushing a plow on a sultry afternoon?" "One thing's for sure. Your mother's punishment was the right kind for you last week while I was away." Pop came through the gate then, set his spray gun on the flat top of one of the gate posts, wiped his hands on a piece of boy's worn-out shirt he'd pulled out of one of his pockets, and picked up a two-pronged weeding hoe and began to chop away at some small pigweeds growing in the now almost knee-high Golden Cross bantam. "Well, it took quite a lot of valuable fishing time," I disagreed in a friendly voice, pushing my plow along in the very hot sunlight. And sometimes it's good for a boy to make up for lost time, even if it's a whole week later, I finished hopefully. But Pop wasn't that kind of hopeful. Here's his explanation as to why my having to work several hours in the garden last week was better punishment than the beach switch kind, for that day anyway. In the first place, it took a lot longer, which meant you got a lot of garden work done. In second place, kept you here long enough so that you could answer the phone when Leslie called from Old Man Paddler's. And it all worked out for the very best to help you capture the vandals, and even to save Bob's life. Everything would have worked out in a different way if you'd been given what you call your fast, noisy punishment and gone with the gang. It made sense. Things had to be just like they'd been. A question came into my mind then, one I kind of wanted to ask Pop, but even though both of us believed the same way about the Bible, it wasn't easy to talk to him about it. Maybe because he was a lot older. It seemed it was easier to talk to little Jim about things like that than to anybody else. So I just swallowed my curiosity, and later that afternoon, after Pop had gone to town, when Dragonfly came over to see if I had time to goof around with him a while, I got the answer I wanted. In fact, I myself answered the question. It's this way, I explained to the pop-eyed member of our gang. If I hadn't been home working that afternoon, I'd have missed Poetry's phone call. If I'd missed it, I wouldn't have been at the cave when the vandals came charging out, and wouldn't have known which way they went, which was toward Poetry's place. I wouldn't have been there to give the sheriff's deputy the news on the phone and gotten his order to set up the roadblock. Bob wouldn't have seen us doing it and come to stop us, and wouldn't have gotten into the fight with the boy who'd tried to get away, and we wouldn't have had that shirt pocket you found as evidence. It's just like it says in a book on our library table. Then I quoted to Dragonfly, whose folks hadn't taught him very much about the Bible, a very special verse I'd memorized at the Collins family devotions. For we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. I was still with the Ebenezer onions, and Dragonfly was chopping around a little with the weeding hoe. He raised the hoe high then and brought it down with a savage slice at a weed that was too small for corporeal punishment and said, "Weeds don't work together for good, not that one anyway." "Maybe they do." I was surprised I was smart enough to think of it to say, "Maybe if there weren't any weeds at all, we wouldn't cultivate the garden as much as we should and wouldn't get as good a crop." It seemed like we'd talked about that long enough, so pretty soon he said, "Bob Till came over to our house this morning. Look what he gave me." Dragonfly turned his back and leaned over to show me a brand new gray patch his mother or somebody had sewed on his pants there. "What do you mean, what he gave you?" "Shirt pocket. Bob said I could keep it for a souvenir. Mom made a patch out of it for my pants that got torn when I climbed through the fence on the other side of the bridge to get down to where he was being worked on." The phone in our house rang then, a long, long, and a short, short. And in a jiffy, Mom was at the back door calling, "It's your mother, Roy. She wants you to come home and help with the garden work." Oh, now I was alone again. My father was away, and I was sweating and grunting along, pushing the plow and wishing I could be doing something else. And that's when it happened again. Right in front of my eyes, I turned up with my plow 6 or 7 of the largest, juiciest-looking, wriggling, lively fishing worms anybody ever saw. I stopped and stood and stared at them while they stretched themselves out and inched their way along, trying to get back into the ground again. Then I said, "Oh, no, you don't. Maybe if I put you on a hook and away down under the water, you'd bring up a sunfish or a bass. But my father, who handles the beach witches, would rather you'd go back down into the ground and eat as much garden soil down there as you can stuff yourself with and come back up tonight with what you couldn't digest and deposit it right here on the surface where the Ebenezer onions can get at it." Later that afternoon, in fact, while it was getting close to chore time, I went out into the barn and up into the haymow and lay down in the sweet-smelling alfalfa, having ordered myself to take a short rest. There my eyes roamed around, lighting on the different things. The long beam I sometimes use for a platform for Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. The wooden box I'd made and placed away up a high mantle-like shelf for pigeons to nest in. And the net hanging from the iron hoop we used for basketball practice. The sparrow's nest on another log, which I'd have to tear out sometime. And then I closed my eyes to see what, if anything, would flash upon my inner mind. And you know what? It wasn't at all like what somebody named Wordsworth had flash on his inner eye. It was instead a host of Golden Cross Bantam sweet corn with its blades tossing in the breeze. Their husky, rustly rustle was calling me to get up and come and do something about the weeds that were growing there between the rows. The end. And that's our Sugar Creek Gang adventure by Paul Hutchins, The Worm Turns at Sugar Creek. Now we're going to start a new book, boys and girls, one whose title I know is familiar to you, and I hope it's a story you'll enjoy. My Friend Flicka by Mary O'Hara. Maybe you've read that already, but maybe you'd like to hear it read aloud. High up on the long hill they call the Saddleback, behind the ranch and the country road, the boy sat his horse facing east, his eyes dazzled by the rising sun. It seemed like a personage come to visit, appearing all of a sudden over the dark bank of clouds in the east, coming up over the edge of it, smiling, bowing right and left, lighting up the whole world so that everything smiled back. The snug, huddled roofs of the ranch house way below him began to be red instead of just dark, and the spidery arms of the windmill in the gorge glinted and twinkled. They were smiling back at the sun. "Good morning, mister," shouted Ken, swinging his arm in salute, and the chunky brown mare he rode gave a wild leap. To keep his seat, riding bareback as he was, he clapped his heels into her sides, and she leaped again, this time with her head down. Stiff-legged and with arched back, she landed and then bucked. Once, twice, 3 times, and Ken was off, slung under her nose, hanging onto the reins. She backed away and pulled to get free, braced like a dog tugging at a man's trouser leg. "No, you don't! Not that time you didn't!" She jerked her head viciously from side to side, Ken's teeth set in anger. "If you break another bridle—" The thought made him crafty, and his voice fell to a coaxing note. "Now, Cinnamon, be a good girl. That's a baby. Good girl, good girl." Responsive to the change of tone, one of her flattened ears came forward as if to peer at him and see if he spoke in good faith. Reassured, she stopped pulling and moved up a step. Ken got warily to his feet and went to her head, still talking soothingly, but with insulting words. "That's a girl, stupid face. Whoa, baby, jughead, no sense at all." And this last was the worst possible insult on the Goose Bar Ranch, where a horse without sense was a horse without a right to existence. We'll continue next time. Bye.
There you are, boys and girls. Listen next time when Flo Schmid comes your way with a story from the Listening Post.
And now it's time for Captain's Kids.
Hi, boys and girls. We're glad you've joined the Captain's Kids on board the good ship Salvation today.
One day some people came to Jesus bringing little children that he might bless them, and the disciples scolded them for it. When Jesus saw this, it upset him, and he said to them, "Let the children come to me. Do not try to stop them, for the kingdom of God is made of little ones like these." Boys and girls too small to come to Jesus? Oh, no. Even our Stephen can tell you this while we sing. Sitting at the feet of Jesus, this was heard one day.
Can a little child like me be saved and learn to pray?
This reply was given to the wondering child so small.
Let the children come to Jesus, for he loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Let the children come to Jesus, for he loves them all. Doesn't matter if the color red or yellow be.
Precious in the sight of Jesus, all may come, you see. Some with dark skin,
some with light skin, he will hear them call. Let the children come to Jesus, for he loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Too small,
oh no,
Jesus loves them all. Let the children come to Jesus, for he loves them all.
Yes, we're all important to the Lord, and that's why he's willing to take our place and die for our sins. I guess Brer Rabbit was important to that little dog, Brer Chihuahua, too. He was willing to take his place in Brer Fox's big cooking pot. I wonder if Brer Fox will really eat him. Uncle Remus, please tell us the rest of the story.
Oh, thank you mighty much. This old Uncle Remus, and I'm powerful happy and glad that I got today's story, 'cause this is the last installment of the story, Brer Rabbit and the Friend from Below the Border. And Brer Chihuahua sure is done proved to be a friend. We're going to get right to that telling, too, and you find out how Brer Chihuahua saved Brer Rabbit's life, and then Brer Rabbit turned around and used his head bone and saved Chihuahua's life, and old Brer Fox went hungry. And that's going to be the story. Oh, thank you mighty much. And now, if everybody ready, here we go, getting along with the telling of the story, Brer Rabbit and the Friend from Below the Border. What a story that is. If y'all remembers, and I know that you do, little Brer Rabbit don't do a thing in this whole wide world but get caught by old Brer Fox. And little Brer Chihuahua, he seen it happen, and he make old Brer Fox turn him loose. Followed old Brer Fox right to his house and barking and hollering at him. And finally, Brer Fox promised that he would turn little Brer Rabbit loose, but that he would put Brer Chihuahua in the pot, and Brer Chihuahua took him up on it. And now he getting ready to put little old Brer Chihuahua in the pot. In the meantime, Brer Rabbit done got turned loose, and he outside talking with Brer Snake. And I think you gonna like what they're saying, so let's get on over there, children, bless your bones, and see. Come on this way, follow Uncle Remus down through the grass here, and I'll show you. Come on. And being a snake like I'm there's nothing I likes better than taunting someone, especially if it's that foxy old waxy fox. I know that you like to torture him and tease him, and that's one way of doing it. Get in there and poke fun at him, tell him he's going to be a cannibal by eating that Brer Chihuahua. You know what to do. Yes, I does. Thank you for telling me, little Brer Rabbit. So long. And with that, Brer Snake wiggled up on the porch under the door and right into old Brer Fox's den. And Brer Fox was just about to put Brer Chihuahua in the pot of boiling water and fix him for dinner. All right, boy. Your day is done. Now, you say that you want me to put you in there instead of the little Brer Rabbit, so up you go.
I do not care what you do to me because I am doing the good thing. You are the bad thing and I am the good thing and I am helping the good thing. And I have saved the life of your little Brer Rabbit, for he is a good thing and I love him and he loves me. And I will fight the devil wherever I see the devil because I must stand up for good and fight the evil, and you are the evil. So I do not mind if you take my life and put me in the pot of boiling water instead of the rabbit. It is all right with me. Go ahead and do it.
I'm going to do it, too. Here you go.
1 minute, you foxy thing.
What you doing in here, Brer Snake? You just in time to see me cook myself a chihuahua.
My. How low you have sunk.
What does you mean by that? He been barking at me the whole morning. I caught that rabbit, had him in here ready to cook him. And this thing here been barking at me and carrying on the whole morning, so I got a right to cook him, because he asked me to do it. He say for me to put him in the pot instead of the rabbit.
My, how interesting. Is the truth. I told him to do this thing because I do not want to see the good thing hurt. I would rather see the bad thing do a thing that is even worse than the bad thing that he was going to do than to see him do a bad thing to the good thing. And a little Brer Rabbit, he is a good thing.
What does you mean he a good thing?
I think I know what he means, Brer Fox. You see, little Brer Rabbit likes to run and jump and play. He's happy and he harms no one. But you foxy thing, there's nothing that's safe around you because you're a fox. And Brer Chihuahua knew that the only way to fight you, the only way to stop you from doing the bad thing that you was going to do, was to sacrifice his own life. Is this not right, Chihuahua?
Well, see, here's a bad thing he is going to do. And I do not like it. I think the thing must be Uranus is a good thing. If you do a bad thing, nobody like you. You do a good thing, everybody like you.
I don't care nothing about the good things and the bad things. He done traded himself for that rabbit. So I'm gonna put him in the pot. Come on.
Wait.
That's enough, Brer Snake.
Does you want to become a cannibal?
A who?
On top of all of the other mean things that you has done, does you want to add to that the word cannibal? Do you want to be marked in the forest, you foxy thing, as a cannibal?
Cannibal? That's something that eats his own kind. Ain't nobody would do something like that.
But you is getting ready to do it.
Oh, no, he ain't no kind of mine. He a Chihuahua, and I hate and despise him. And besides that, you wouldn't be no cannibal to eat something like that. You could eat that thing up and nobody say a word to you.
Does you realize, you foxy thing, Brer Chihuahua is a distant cousin of yours, whether you likes it or not?
No.
Yes. Except he's learned to respect the good things in life and appreciate the good things in life. While you, on the other hand, have learned to accept the bad things in life. But to eat him would make you a full-fledged, bona fide, legalized cannibal.
But if I don't eat him, I'm going to get done out of my meal. I had that rabbit, and he traded me out of the rabbit by giving me himself. What is I going to do about that?
I doesn't know. I simply knows if you eats this little Chihuahua, you'll become the most despised thing in the whole world, a cannibal.
Get out of here, Chihuahua. Get! And don't you ever come back.
And with that little Chihuahua left there faster than greased lightning. Nobody ever knowed where he went. Might have went back down below the border. But the one thing he said in passing, and that is this. Maybe I make a mistake.
Maybe there is some good in even the worst of the bad things. Maybe.
And that's the story. Brer Rabbit and the friend from below the border. And I think Brer Chihuahua must be right, children. I don't care how bad something is. If you look long enough, you'd probably find a little something good mixed up in it somewhere. Oh, starting with the next story, that's gonna be one. When the lion break out of the circus tent and come to live in the woods. Oh, what old Brer Fox gonna do about that? Sure gonna keep you splitting and laughing. Till the next story, thank you for this one, and goodbye, everybody.
After all he's done for me, after all he's done for me, how can I do less than give him my best and live for him completely, after all he's done for me? All for Jesus, all for Jesus, all my being's ransomed powers, all my thoughts and words and doings, all my days and all my hours, all for Jesus, all for Jesus, all my days and all my hours, all for Jesus, all for Jesus, all my days and all my hours. Let my hands perform his bidding, let my feet run in his ways, let my eyes see Jesus only, let my lips speak forth his praise. All for Jesus, all for Jesus, let my lips speak forth his praise. All for Jesus, all for Jesus, let my lips speak forth his praise. After all he's done for me, after all he's done for me, how can I do less than give him my best and live for him completely? After all he's done for
me. John 8:31 and 32. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Truly free. I feel so free, said a boy in California who had asked the Lord Jesus to be his Savior. My cousin and I used to do bad things. I used to steal, but I don't want to do those things anymore. It's like a heavy burden rolled off my back. Before we receive the Lord Jesus, we are like slaves. Sin is our master. But Jesus has no sin. He is filled with truth. When he comes into your heart and forgives your sin, he sets you free from its power. You no longer have to obey your old master. Even though a Christian has power to say no to sin, that old master does not give up. He keeps trying to get you to do wrong. God's word helps you be strong against sin. Here are some special promises for you to remember. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:4. I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13.
I will go in the strength of the Lord God. I'll make mention of his righteousness alone. He's my refuge in time of trial. He's my strength when I am weak and worn. So I'll go in the strength of the Lord God. I will go in the strength of the Lord.
you free? Are you free from your sin and free from God's punishment? The Bible says, "For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord." Romans 6:23. If you have not received God's gift of eternal life, then you will collect the wages of sin, eternal death. Our next story is an exciting one about a communist family who found God's gift of eternal life.
The Empty Home. It's fun to have company, isn't it? Especially someone you like very much and haven't seen for a while. Well, in some countries today, people are not free to travel and visit when they please. In fact, the rulers of these countries dictate just about everything that people may or may not do. That is why the Grossman family, which lives in one of these countries, was so happy that Uncle Carl finally received permission to visit them.
Look, Uncle Carl, I'm making this scarf all by myself.
Why, Lucia, how nicely you knit. This scarf will keep you snug and warm when the days become cold.
Mama taught me to make these bookmarks, Uncle Carl. You may have this one. Mama says you like to read.
Thank you, Olga. I do like to read. There is one book I read every day, and I will remember you when I use this lovely marker.
That evening, after the children had reluctantly gone to bed, Uncle Carl took a small gift from his pocket.
Maria, Alex, I have something here I want so much for you to have. Please do not refuse me.
Oh, but we would never refuse you, Carl.
Oh, it is a New Testament. But you know we are forbidden to read the Bible. You would not have us go to prison.
Someone is sure to find out that we have it and report us. They always do.
It is true that this often happens. But it is worth anything you may suffer to know what God has to say and what he has done for you. This book will tell you how to have your sins forgiven and how you may live forever with God in heaven.
Are you not afraid to read it, Carl? And to carry one about with you? If you could be stopped and searched by the police, what then?
Prison, perhaps. But I assure you, Alex, that if I spend the rest of my life in prison, it will be nothing compared with the joy I will have forever in heaven because I believe this book.
Oh, it means so much to you, my brother. Oh, Carl, do be careful. I fear for you.
And I fear for you, Maria. And for you, Alex. Is prison worse than hell?
I am not sure that I believe that there is a hell.
No, we are a happy family here, Carl.
Nothing must be allowed to separate us. There's too much risk in owning that book. We must refuse it, Carl.
It was very late that night when a figure crept quietly out of the bed, stealthily moved to the rack where Uncle Carl's coat hung, reached into the pocket, then slipped silently into the kitchen. Several days later...
Alex, I am going to keep Carl's book.
Maria.
No, listen to me, Alex. I have been reading it, and it is true. We must believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, God's Son, is our Savior.
Maria, it is not like you to put your children in danger.
No, please, Alex, read with me tonight and see for yourself.
A week later, the Grossmans gathered their children together and read to them from the Word of God. Assured of their parents' love and concern for them, Olga, Lucia, and Peter believed the Bible was true. Soon, each member of the family trusted in the Lord as his Savior. This caused them to think and act differently. Others, suspecting they were Christians, began to persecute them.
Come, Peter, wash your hands.
Oh, a stone! Someone threw a stone through the window. I will go and see who did it.
No, Alex, no. They will stone you, too. Please, Alex, no.
Oh, Mama, why would anyone stone Papa? Do you think it is because we are Christians? I think it is. Some of my old friends at school don't even talk to me anymore.
Yes, I understand, Olga. Now we must pick up the glass and cover the window.
Yes, let us move quickly. Our relatives will be coming to hear the Bible and the foreign gospel broadcast. Put the glass in this sack and be careful not to cut yourselves.
But I don't understand. Why is it all right for people in other countries to believe in God and to hear about Him, but we are told not to?
Our leaders do not believe in God, and they do not want us to believe either. Oh, we must pray for them as God has commanded us to do.
There, now, let us have our supper.
That night, as the family listened to the Christian broadcast, the police suddenly invaded their home, took their Bible and their radio, and reported on all who were there. Later, the parents were declared unfit to raise their children, and Olga and Lucia were taken miles away to a government school.
Come, Peter. Sit here by me, my son. I will tell you a Bible story.
Papa, I miss Lucia and Olga.
I know, son. I know. We all miss them.
When will they be back?
Perhaps not until they are through school.
Nicky told me something today. He said his aunt lives in the town where Olga and Lucia are. She said they ran away.
Oh, Olga and Lucia ran away?
Yes, but they got caught. All the people in the town were sorry for them, but they couldn't help them.
Oh, if only our people will see the wrongs in our government and demand a change. God's way is one of love.
Oh, come, my dear, supper is ready. It is only turnips from our garden, but we thank God for them.
Papa, hold me, hold me.
I have you, Peter. I will hold you tight, my son.
Yes, sir?
Marina Grossman, you are under arrest. You will come with me.
Mommy.
I must go, Peter. But remember, honey, when trials come, we mustn't fall. Just fight on. Then faith, hope, and love will be with us.
At once!
Goodbye, my dears.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Maria.
Mommy, I want my mommy.
Of course you do, Peter. And I want her too.
When will she come back?
God only knows, my son. But you must remember that she belongs to God, and God is with her, and your sisters too.
Papa, are you still glad that Uncle Carl brought the New Testament? You don't have a job or Mama now.
No, I don't have my job, my wife, or my daughters. But, Peter, we have Jesus, and I love him more than all else. You must love him that way too, my son. No matter what happens, we must trust in him. Now, let us make plans, Peter. We will learn the Bible by heart so that it will always be with us. Repeat after me, Peter. The Lord is my shepherd.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Years went by, hard, lonely years for all the family. Each day, Peter and his father prayed for the others. They learned more and more of God's word and to trust and obey it. One day, as they worked in the garden...
I will plant this next row, Peter, and you can come behind me with the hoe and cover the seed.
All right, Papa. Papa, look at that lady coming down the road. She looks very thin, but it is! It's Mama!
Maria!
Mama! It is so good to see you.
Oh, Maria, it is so good to see you.
Oh, how good to see you both. How big you have grown, Peter. I have been hearing good things of you, my son.
Hearing? How, Mama?
Oh, I mustn't say, but there are ways to hear of the children and others.
Then you have news of Olga and Lucia?
Yes, Alex, and they have news of us. All is well as can be. They trust in God.
Oh, praise the Lord.
It is good to have you home, Mama. But you are a harder teacher than Papa. I should be out helping him by now.
You have learned very well, Peter, but I want you to be ahead of the other boys. You see,
But I'm already smarter than Joseph and Gregory.
Yes, I know, but you may have to go away, dear, to the government school, and they will make you work more than study.
Oh, you have heard something?
Peter, my son, The police have come for you.
Oh, my son. At least I had this time with you.
You have been a real joy to me, Peter.
And you have been good parents to me. I thank you for teaching me about the Lord. I am ready to go. But I'll be back, and I'll be a Christian man when I come back.
Oh, God bless you, Peter.
Goodbye, my son.
God bless you.
And may God keep you. Our home is so quiet, so empty. How I remember the voices of the children.
God often leads in hard ways, Maria. But he goes before.
And we would not have it any other way. How proud I am of Peter. Only God could make such a brave boy.
Yes. We miss him and the girls, but God will bless us. He has promised to repay us many times over when we leave home and loved ones for his sake. And besides all that, we have everlasting life.
Ah, it is true. And Alex, have you ever thought of how empty God's home must have been all those years Jesus was here on earth?
Ah, how very empty. How very lonely heaven must have been. Maria, we have only the smallest idea of what it cost God to save our souls. Had we 10 children, would we not give them all up for him?
Yes, though my heart breaks over being parted from them, I could never refuse to tell them of Jesus. And they will return, Alex, a Christian man and Christian women. No one can take God from them, and he is worth it all.
No matter how hard things are in this life, it will be worth it all when we see our Savior Jesus. No one can take away our eternal life. That is ours forever if we are trusting Jesus as our Savior and Lord. If you are going through hard times, look to Jesus and trust in Him. He loves you, and He will take you to His wonderful home in heaven one of these days if you belong to Him. This has been Aunt Becky with you today. Our journey has come to an end for this time, but I'll be looking for you next time with all the Captain's kids. Bye!
Captain's kids, Captain's